In 1917, the United States Army needed land, fast. America had just entered the First World War, and the government leased nearly 10,000 acres outside Chillicothe, Ohio, to build one of the largest training camps in the country. Bulldozers and graders moved in, and directly in their path sat one of the most important ceremonial complexes ancient Ohio ever produced, a site that had survived intact for roughly 2,000 years through weather, farming, and centuries of quiet neglect. Nobody stopped the machines. Today, we're opening the file on Mound City. Here's what stood on this land before the Army ever arrived. 23 earthen mounds, enclosed by a low rectangular embankment built roughly 2,000 years ago by the Hopewell culture. This wasn't a village, it was a cemetery, but not the kind we usually picture. When I first read the original 1846 survey conducted by Squier and Davis, two of the earliest serious documenters of Ohio's earthworks, I understood how methodically this site had been recorded, decades before anyone imagined it would need to be rebuilt from those very notes. Each mound at Mound City covered what archaeologists call a charnel house, a wooden ceremonial building where the Hopewell elite were cremated, laid out with extraordinary grave goods, copper ornaments hammered from raw metal carried down from the Great Lakes, sheets of shimmering mica cut into decorative shapes, ceremonial pipes carved into detailed animal effigies. Once the ceremony concluded, the building itself was deliberately dismantled or burned, and a mound of earth was raised directly over the remains, sealing the entire structure beneath layers of packed soil. That's not a random burial ground. That's a site built in careful, repeated stages, generation after generation, each mound representing its own complete ceremony, its own community gathering, its own act of closure. By the mid-1800s, farmers had already ploughed under some of the smaller mounds, but the core of the site, the larger structures, survived largely intact for nearly 2,000 years. Then came 1917. The camp was named Camp Sherman, and it grew fast, transforming empty farmland into a small city almost overnight. Within months, it held more than 2,000 buildings and over 20 miles of internal roads. It became the third largest military training facility in the entire country, complete with its own hospital, theaters, and mess halls. Over its lifetime, more than 124,000 American soldiers passed through this exact stretch of land, training for a war overseas, most of them with no idea what had stood beneath their boots for 2 millennia before they arrived. The Army graded the site to build barracks, roads, and drill grounds, moving with the speed and urgency wartime construction demanded. Nearly every mound at Mound City was leveled in the process, the careful work of countless Hopewell generations erased in a matter of weeks by men focused entirely on the war ahead of them. Only one mound, the largest of the group, standing over 17 feet tall, survived the construction relatively intact. Everything else was scraped flat to make room for a war effort that had nothing to do with the ground it was built on. And once you accept that an entire ceremonial landscape, 2,000 years in the making, was erased in a matter of weeks for a temporary military camp, the next question becomes obvious. Was anything actually gone for good? Here's the detail that changes the whole story. When Hopewell builders raised those mounds, they didn't just pile dirt on the surface as a simple marker. The charnel house floors, the post holes, the cremated remains, and grave goods, all of it had already been carefully sealed beneath layers of packed earth centuries earlier, protected by design rather than by accident. Camp Sherman's construction crews scraped away the visible mounds, the raised earth that had stood above ground level for 2,000 years. But the protected layer underneath, the actual archaeological record, the floors and post holes and burials, remained largely undisturbed, just below grade, hidden from bulldozers that had no reason to dig any deeper than the surface required. The Army had flattened the monuments. It hadn't necessarily destroyed what was inside them. Nobody knew that for certain until after the war ended. In 1918, the fighting stopped. Camp Sherman's population emptied out almost as fast as it had filled up. Soldiers shipped home or reassigned within months. By 1920, the Army began dismantling the camp entirely, tearing down the more than 2,000 buildings that had briefly made this one of the busiest military installations in America. leaving behind nothing but graded, scarred earth. That same year, archaeologists from the Ohio Archaeological and Historical Society arrived to see what, if anything, could still be recovered from beneath the wreckage of a war effort that had already moved on. What they found stunned them. Using Squier and Davis's original 1846 survey as a guide, cross-referencing dimensions and positions recorded 74 years earlier, they were able to locate the buried remnants of the charnel house floors beneath nearly every leveled mound, post holes still arranged in their original patterns, cremation deposits undisturbed, grave goods, copper and mica and carved pipes that had survived the grading completely intact, protected the entire time by the very earth the mounds were made of. Working from that evidence and from the historical survey data, the Ohio Historical Society began one of the most ambitious reconstruction projects in American archaeology up to that point. Mound by mound, they rebuilt what Camp Sherman had erased, restoring the earthworks to match their documented 1846 dimensions as closely as the surviving evidence allowed, essentially reversing an act of wartime destruction using the very records that predated it. One mound, designated Mound 15, was deliberately left unconstructed, its underlying charnel house floor and post holes left exposed and clearly marked, so visitors could see directly what lay beneath every other rebuilt mound on the site, a rare window into the archaeology itself rather than just the finished monument. In 1923, President Warren Harding formally established Mound City Group National Monument, protecting the reconstructed site for good and ensuring no future construction project, military or otherwise, could threaten it again without deliberate federal action. Here's the part of this story that still catches people off guard when they visit today. Camp Sherman, the massive facility that briefly held tens of thousands of soldiers and completely reshaped this landscape with 2,000 buildings and 20 miles of roads, is almost entirely gone. A single original structure survives from the entire installation, and it doesn't even stand on the park grounds anymore, relocated and repurposed decades ago. The temporary military camp, built in a matter of months for an urgent wartime need, vanished within a few years of the war ending, torn down piece by piece once its purpose had been served. The 2,000-year-old ceremonial mounds it flattened were rebuilt painstakingly, using nothing but 19th century survey notes and careful excavation, and they're still standing today, protected as a national monument. Walk through Mound City now, and there's nothing to suggest any of this happened. No visible scars, no rubble, no trace of 2,000 buildings or 20 miles of roads, or the sound of tens of thousands of soldiers training for a war overseas. Just reconstructed earthen mounds, quiet grass, and a visitor center explaining a ceremonial tradition that for a few brief years last century very nearly disappeared for good. If this connected some dots your textbooks never put together, you already know what to do. Subscribe and join us for the next file they didn't want opened.